Spanish. Alguien que nada más habla español y que quiera participar en la conversación, tenemos interpretación simultánea disponible.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. How's everyone doing today? Good. Good? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Nice. Is the food good?
Yes.
Amazing. It's so great sharing this space with you all. My name is Annie. I work at WEX. I'm the Climate Justice Campaign Manager. And I'm really excited to have a lot of groups and a lot of new faces in the room tonight to talk about Uptown. Because there's been a lot of historic movements that have come from Uptown, right? A lot of housing movements, civil rights movements, environmental justice movements, health movements, and we're still fighting for a lot of the things that our communities need. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And there's a lot of underlying reasons, right, why we can keep fighting and we're not getting what we need for our communities. And so we're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to talk about all of the work that's happening in Northern Manhattan, some of which maybe you know about, some of which maybe you don't. We're going to talk about why these issues are continuing to happen, why we're dealing with unaffordable housing, why we're dealing with higher rates of air pollution, higher rates of asthma, why we have less park space, why we have less transportation options than the rest of the city. We're going to talk about what we can do as community and as organizers and as activists to take more control back of the land in Northern Manhattan and make sure that we're developing it with our needs as a community in mind. So we have a packed agenda and I'm really excited to get to know all of you tonight. And we're going to start off with a little icebreaker. So I'm going to pass it to my partner over here, Alejandro.
Hi everyone, I'm Alejandro, I'm a tenant organizer with the Goddard Riverside Lawn Project in Harlem. So the first activity is to get to know one another. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna split in pairs. So you're gonna lock eyes with the person next to you. And we're gonna introduce, maybe you might have to come a bit closer to have a conversation. But the idea is to have a brief conversation, just a couple minutes to introduce one another. Your pronouns, what neighborhood you live in, what do you love most about your neighborhood, if you're here within your organization. So yes, pronouns, where you live, what you love most about the neighborhood that you live in. So some of you might have to come a bit closer, again, just pair up with the person right next to you.
And ideally, go chat with someone you don't know.
So we're here from many different parts of Upper Manhattan, of uptown, from many different organizations, from many different community groups, many different tenant associations, co-ops, because we're trying precisely to get that space, to get to know one another, and start thinking of ourselves as one big political community that can advocate for large-scale transformations, and to build better solidarity between all of our groups and all of our struggles. We want this to be a space where we're sharing public information, where we're continuing all these conversations like after this event is over, where we can share resources, many experiences from many different people in many different circumstances fighting for justice in their buildings, in their blocks, in their neighborhoods. And we're going to be talking about how to support one another and how to together, maybe not just for this meeting, but over future meetings as well, how to build a shared vision for Northern Manhattan and uptown. So today the topic is democratic control over land and why that is important and how can we fight for it. We're going to be hearing from different groups that have been taking this analysis that land, and not just buildings, not just housing, but land specifically, is a major side of struggle and a key point of leverage for us. In the same way that landlords derive their power from owning land, how can we collectively, as working class communities, own the land on which we build our lives for generations? No? So first of all, we want to find out who's in the room. So it would be great if you're here with an organization, or you're representing your tenant association, or you're here just for yourself. If you could just quickly raise your hand. I'm going to hold it to 30 seconds so that we can hear from as many people as possible. And just say what organization you're a part of. And maybe just like a tiny one or two sentence summary about what that organization stands for. So that's okay, I'm just going to do it really quick so we can hear from as many people as possible, okay? And your name?
Yeah. My name is Taina Traverso, and I'm the founder of the Manhattan Eastside Environmental Justice Consortium. And it's a new organization. We have many people from various entities that has been part of having the vision be realized. And the vision is to increase the quality of air that we don't have equal to the West Side. West Side air quality is better than the East Side. So we're focusing on that in addition to other environmental justice we connect with.
Hi, Liz McMillan. I just happen to be here. I'm a member of WEAC, but I also work for the Farragut Center for Social Justice. And as at Fordham Law School, the interesting thing about the program is called FLARO. FLARO helps people who are being sued in court for credit card debt. And we help people when they come into our Bronx clinic and also the Staten Island clinic. So if you have any issues, come see me.
I am part of WEAC. I'm also a representative in the Metropolitan Hospital Community Advisory Board. I'm also CB11, and I'm also representing NAACP's Manhattan branch, and then the Environmental Justice Committee there as well.
Hi, Carol Johnson. I'm a member of WEAC, and I'm also the disaster liaison for the East Harlem Co-Ed, incident commander for Harlem Emergency Network. Our job as a co-ed is to coordinate any emergency efforts, whether it's acts of God or public health emergencies, pandemics, whatever, to coordinate services and resources and get them out to the community. Harlem Emergency Network, we are a coordinating agency who handles emergency communications. And we operate from 96th Street, River to River, up into Westchester. And we work through WHCR 90.3 at City College.
Hi, I'm Angela Dews, also from WEAC, but also I'm so there's a new group called Center for Smart Streetscapes, and they have community partners, and I'm one of those community partners. And it's very technical, and I have no idea what they're talking about yet. We're going to have our first meeting, and I'm going to ask them a lot of questions. But it's about streetscapes and making the flow, the safety, the privacy, availability of our neighborhoods using the kind of technologies being used everywhere else but not uptown.
Feel free to raise your hands and I'll call you by order, okay?
I'm Dan. I'm also a member of REACT, but I'm here also as part of the Uptown DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. We are a nonprofit running the association of buildings, working with building and community uptown, and I'm curious about the guys looking into land sovereignty and tenant organizing.
Yeah, I'm Stuart. I'm a member of REACT and also a part of an organization called Neighbors for a Greener Harlem, building the relationship between Morningside Gardens and Grant Houses across Amsterdam Avenue, with some focus on our community gardens, as well as scouts and tutoring.
I'm Josh Dankel. I'm a friend of Liz from Harlem, some of my friends here, and we do a lot of advocacy and electoral politics and work with a lot of organizations and services.
My name is Kendall Jackson. I'm native Brooklyn. I've been transplanted to the Bronx. I'm a co-founder, excuse me, of the New York City Community Land Initiative that came out of vacant property count that the members of Picture the Homeless conducted in 2011 to prove that Dictator Bloomberg was wrong. There was enough vacant property in the city to create housing instead of shoving us into shelters. When we finished the summer of 2011 in Tommy Valley did the figuring, we knew December of 2011 there was enough vacant space, over 3,800 vacant buildings and close to 400 vacant lots to house 199,982 people. But the city didn't want to do that, so we didn't do that. But out of that came a group of people who talked about community land trusts. So out of that came the New York City Community Land Initiative. So we're an umbrella organization for 20 some odd community land trusts across the 5 boroughs. That's what we do.
Organization called the Mother Citizen, and we do environmental work with youth, and maybe helps us with creating the future we want to see in the community beneficially.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Gilda Gillum, and I'm representing several of my own personal organizations, Lindy and STRS Live, but I also work with Goddard Riverside Law Project in housing advocacy. And I'm here today because I've been learning a lot about community land trust through various other housing advocates, and I'm also in my master's program at CUNY School of Labor and Urban Studies, so I'm writing one of my papers in my policy class on community land trust. So.
Hi everyone, my name is Adarki. I'm an organizer with my council. I'm here because there's a building of ours that we're organizing that has gone through so much that they're actually considering what does it look like if they actually purchase the building. So you might see some of them coming in soon, but I think even as an overall thing, I think there's a lot of buildings in Washington Heights that have been abandoned by their landlords, and if we don't figure out a plan, it's gonna get, like, the city's gonna take over, and what does that look like? So it's just, if people don't really start organizing together, I really see that we're just gonna get taken advantage of. So that's just me. But it's nice to see some familiar faces in the room, so thank you for coming.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Delphine Glover. I have a lot of formers. So I am a former executive director of an organization called Tenants and Neighbors. I am a founder of the Housing Justice for All Coalition, which was preceded by the Alliance for Tenant Power, for which I was the campaign director. I'm also a leader in my tenant association for many years. That's about it. Thank you. Glad to be. Oh, and I'm a member of REACT. That's why I'm here, because I got the email.
the video guy, Joe Friendly. It'll be up on YouTube, and I have a daily show. Who knows when it'll play? The daily show is at 10 in the morning on Channel 34, Spectrum, Manhattan Community College, Community something or other. Anyhow, the name of the show is Truth for a Change. Joe Friendly. Okay.
Last call, one more. We have a lot of awesome groups in the room. Thank you all so much for being here. It's really incredible, like, hearing about lots of these groups and finally getting to put faces to names, and I hope that other people are having that experience today. We're going to get into our first activity for the night, which is going to be mapping out the issues that we are working on uptown. So there's lots of different groups in this room, as we just heard. And there's probably other groups here that haven't, been called out. And lots of these groups are working on all different sorts of issues, whether that's related to housing, whether that's related to safety, to the environment, to the streetscapes, to tenants' rights, to advocacy, to politics, whatever that may be. So, what we're going to ask you to do is, if you're here with a group, like you feel like you're with an identified group, you're going to get together, and you're all going to get a stack of Post-it notes, and we want you to write the issue that you all are working on with your organization's name below. And you can fill out as many Post-it notes as you need as an organization, and we want you to try and get specific on the issues that you're working on. So, for example, instead of saying, we work on health and housing. Instead, I would rather you write something like, we work on lead paint in housing. We work on getting rid of lead paint in housing. It could be even more specific, I would say. So we're gonna, if you're here solo or representing an org, you can work on this by yourself. You can get some Post-it notes, but if you want to work in a group with folks that you're here with from your organization, please do that. You're gonna fill out as many Post-it notes as you need. It could be 2, it could be 20, I don't think I have 50 for everybody, but that's okay. And then you're going to organize it based on the category that you in your head work on that issue through. So is it a health issue? You see the piece of paper back there? You're going to go put your Post-it note on that. Do you work through this from a health lens? Do you work through this from an environmental lens? Do you work through that issue through an economic development lens? Through a housing lens? And the major bucket, the other lens. Anything that maybe we didn't remember, and we can leave a marker over there if you want to label kind of the category or bucket of that work that we missed. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay? We're going to take about 15 minutes to do this, so we're going to start giving out Post-it notes. Feel free to get in a group if you want, or do this solo, and then when you're done writing out your issues, feel free to go and put them up onto the poster paper. And if you need some help with that, where it'll be floating around, we can definitely help. All right? All right. We're going to start handing out the Post-it notes.
Harlem. I'm going to be trying to facilitate this combo for the next 5-10 minutes or so. As we begin, actually I'm going to ask y'all, think of a word, like one word reaction as we're walking around. One word reaction of what y'all are seeing. Okay? Think of that word. Alright. Wait, hold it. Let's get quiet. Alright, hold that word. You got it? Alright. I'm gonna slowly go, I'm gonna point my finger like a clock. Okay? I'm gonna go around. And as I'm going around, just shout it out. Alright, ready? Are you ready? Ready? Here we go.
I wasn't clear.
Say it out.
I didn't hear it.
So it's one word reaction.
What word?
Any word based on what you're seeing, right? Whatever reaction, whether it's a bodily reaction, whether it's like emotional reaction, what do we something that really sparked curiosity? Yeah? Yeah? Wait, I'm gonna do it again. We're gonna start the clock. Okay? I'm gonna be the hands on the clock, right? I'm gonna switch around, and as we go, you're gonna shout it out, alright? Yeah? Here we go. Focus.
Voluntary. Comprehensive.
Emergency.
Engagement.
Tacos, yeah. Protection.
Sorry, I'm still
Yes, shout out the word.
Environmental.
Environmental.
Equity.
Devastating. Sorry, scary. I heard scarcity. Similarity. Repairs. Integration. Diverse. Same old shit. That's 3 words. Yeah, please. Harassment. Okay. Very diverse, but a lot of connected stuff, right? So let's start with what did y'all learn from this exercise so far? What did you learn from this exercise?
How to engage with other people?
How to engage,
How to engage with other people from other correlations, like, like I just met this young lady here and stuff like that.
Oh, so you're seeing a lot of connection.
Yes.
Between. Is that true for others? Yeah? Yeah, can you share what you're seeing?
I mean, even with the environment, with thinking about buildings, there's a lot of health issues that do come into play. So you got to think about asbestos, you got to think about asthma, you got to think also about lead. So I just put that on but I'm just saying that aloud.
Love that. Thank you.
This exercise helps you to really narrow your focus down on what the issue is. I think that was more of an issue for me. I told what we did, but I didn't really focus on the
issue. You tend wanted to write kind of larger things,
yes.
but honing it down was got it. Stu.
I was really into people's homes that I wasn't expecting.
Can you say what you mean by people's homes?
That repairs are an issue, and need in the home is an issue, and air conditioning is an issue. Landlord and tenant rights are an issue, and ownership is an issue. And that's what this is about.
Yeah. I'll say roaches are an issue in building. I see hand here.
Keeping this space also makes me think about the ties between why can't we have electrical stuff? It's like sovereignty. Why can't we go and rent strike to force the landlord to put solar on the roof, right? What are the impossibilities that should be possible?
Where do we? Let's take that. Yeah, let's take that question. Can you say that question one more time?
Yeah, so this got me thinking about what are the things that are impossible because of rent structures that should be possible. Why can't we go on a rent strike to demand the landlords, which is to clean energy allows us to have our own sources of energy in our own buildings. Why is it that we have no control over these kinds of things? And you cannot, that's not something you can enhance. At least not strike for.
Yeah. What do other folks think? Why can't, there's so many things, right? My guess is we've been probably working on this for a very long time, right? I'm gonna bring that question back, right? Why is it so effing hard to get some of this, to get some of these wins? Yeah, I'm just looking for new hands, but I see that the hands, if I'm not calling you, I see you, but, okay, I'm gonna go to the lovely lady now.
So, the city belongs to the real estate board. So that's why when they get rent, when they come up every year, how they're gonna raise your rent and so on. This city is owned by the real estate board. They build stuff, they get tax breaks. You miss a couple of your sewer and water bills or whatever, the city wants to take your house away. So we are up against the zillionaires who get breaks to build houses that they can afford to break without the tax, to build without the tax break.
So here's a very stupid question, but I think for me, but I think an obvious question, but are we part of the real estate board?
No, we're not.
No. Are we zillionaires?
No.
No. Are we getting into those buildings that they're building up right now?
No.
No. Okay, I see a hand over here.
That was my thought, there's a whole truckload of money floating around, and we get trickle down dollars, and even when the dollars trickle down to our communities, somebody who's handling the money comes into our neighborhood to decide how it's spent.
If the money trickles down, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Whatever trickles down, somebody else.
Exactly. Yes, please.
In regards to talking about real estate, whether you know it or not, going up to Albany, they also lobby. So they have a lot of lobbying, and with them lobbying, they have these laws and policies in which they pass. So there's always some kind of deal, and because we don't know about the lobbying system and about some of the policies, this also puts us it makes it harder for us. When I went to Albany a couple of years ago, when I saw a big sign up there talking about real estate, you should see all of the realtors that were there. I was just really shocked, and I got mad because when it comes down to some of our policies, the housing policies, the rezoning, other policies, we the last ones to know, and they don't let you know when they get ready to change some of these laws in our community. That's why you have the displacement, and that's why you have the gentrification and displacement, because it's already implemented, and they already have made their deals, and these deals usually are from 5 to 10 years. We don't know about that. So they don't invite us, like we having a town hall meeting, they have a town hall meeting when they gonna start raising their prices. Just like Bloomberg did all of the rezoning, that's what happened. And a lot of our people in communities did not know anything about it.
No, that's right. They changed the land, they changed the rules, they changed constantly to change how, right, our access to our land, right? With enclosed doors meetings that we can't join, right? Thank you.
So presently,
Yes, please.
we're fighting against privatization of public housing. So that's a big one presently. So that's why I'm here, to hear more of the information that we can actually apply to try to prevent that. Because many of the public housing have already been converted into PAC and other type of system, whereas it goes to Section 8 and people lose their benefits as a result of that. So our development has not gone through that yet, but we're expecting a voting system to come through, and we are educating the residents about what this means and the importance of them to be educated so that they can actually feel invested to make sure that they hold on to their apartments, their development. So that's part of it. And then what it all comes down to is to what the sister said, is greed, it's power, and it once stays in the hand of literally the landlord. One of the things about that's going on with public housing is that they want to claim that we still have some rights, which we won't, because they're going to have private developers to manage the development. Then we'll lose the Section 9, Article 3. You see? So that's what we're doing. We're educating the people so they'll know how to fight against it.
Thank you for sharing. I know I have to head back soon. Yes, I'm going to take one comment, and then I'm going to proceed to my next question.
Yeah, just with a comment to add on to what the sister just said about the privatization of public housing, because I actually put that on my post-it note, along with gentrification. education, because I believe they both come hand in hand, and that when we vote in our elected officials, from my understanding, anyone in here who is also in tenant advocacy or in government can possibly correct me, but from what I understand, the last budget that was voted on with the mayor's budget, it was $0 put in public housing.
Yeah.
Correct.
And yes, so $0 put in public housing. So we vote these people in, these elected officials in, to champion some of our causes and advocate for our affordable housing, for our education, etc. And it's like a slap in the face.
I just have to, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I just have to very quickly.
Yeah,
Part of the education is to teach them how to decode and to look here for certain words, right? When they're running for office, they will say certain position and they leave out certain position. So you have to know how to read that so you'll know whether you're going to vote for that person or not. That's what one needs to know.
Thank you, thank you. I apologize, I see a lot of amazing hands. Andy's gonna stop me but what I'm gonna ask y'all is something, sorry, I didn't get your actual name.
My name is Taina.
Taina.
Yes, Taina.
Something that Taina said that really caught my attention is, we're all working on a part of all of this, right? My question to y'all is, given what y'all are working, well, you know, we're all here for a reason, right? We're all here together in this moment for a reason. Given the part that you're working on now, what is something that you're curious about that somebody else is working in here? Based on the post-it notes that you saw, is there an issue that you want to learn more about, or that you want to learn more about? All right. All right. I'm gonna just think about that, and then I'm gonna do some quick fires. I'm gonna ask y'all to keep it to 5 to 10 seconds, but like shout it out. I'm gonna put y'all, and then raise your hand. I'm gonna put it y'all, and I'm curious to hear what connections y'all are really interested in learning more about and connecting with groups that you want to connect more with. Okay? Ready? Yes, please.
I would like to hear more about violence prevention.
Violence prevention? Thank you, yes.
Revitalizing the fishing industry.
Yeah. I thought that one too. Yeah, that one's interesting. Any other connections y'all are curious about? Want to make? Yes, please. Thank you. Safety. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I see a lot of nods. Okay. What else? Yes.
Clean air. No clean air, your health goes bad, everybody's going on. So we have to think about that.
I agree with that. Yes.
The economics of everything.
Yeah.
We don't have as many posted notes over there, so I was curious to see what will come out of this discussion. And maybe we can look more on the economic development side.
For sure. Yes.
That's something I'm really curious, like, I've been in so many different places where you talk about power mapping downtown. What power, why does the Washington County Business Improvement District have the power hold us? Who are the actual, who are the enemy? Like, who is holding up everything?
Yeah.
Where is capital flowing to? How is it entrenched? And how do landlords have that actual stranglehold? Or how, and not just landlords, right? How does capital have a stranglehold over our county does?
For sure. Thank you. I saw another hand
Right
here. Oh, yes.
Just, I didn't see anything about education.
Oh, there was one over there.
And I did.
Oh, I saw you.
Yeah, because the schools in District 3 and 5 are really atrocious. There are really no public school choices. Lots of the schools have been converted to charter schools, and not very good charter schools. And so I would like, there has not been a real movement on education in our communities, a real movement in like the last 20 years.
Thank you. I think it was the hand here. Was he? Or, oh.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. You had a hand up. Yes.
No. I was going to talk about education.
Education. Okay. Yes.
I was saying, I'd like to know, because I put a post up there about, starting a strike and getting the money back from the banks that cut the mortgages on these certain apartments.
Yeah. Thank you, yeah. Yes.
Sitting here thinking about the conversation we just had and education, folks need to learn how the system works. I mean, this Advocacy Institute teaches you how the cycle works with the state. You know, when they come in, when they work on bills, who to talk to get your bills looked at, when they go on budget, when they decide to vote on the bills. And then they do the same thing with the city. So since our number one enemy is the government, you need to learn how the government functions in order to be able to be there.
For sure. I'm going to do one more hand, and then I'm going to Yeah. So there are a lot of, right, so y'all, we're all each working on a different part, right? Y'all, we're all, it's quite connected. And I hear a lot of curiosities about other folks' work, right? One of the couple things that I did also hear is about wanting to know about really doing education around how the system works, figuring out power mapping, right? And I'm going to take that as a segue for Elise to talk about community land justice. Community land justice. But yeah, I really at least want to ground us all about how connected our work is and how essentially invested our opposition is to essentially break us. And on that, I'll pass to Elise.
Cool. Hi everyone, good evening. So my name is Elise. I am a community land trust organizer with the New Economy Project. And my goal is to help support the development of community land trusts and the movement of community land trusts around the city. And we're going to talk about what that means, but I just want to kind of name that we're here in a neighborhood, a physical neighborhood, and that means we're on land. And community land trust is about the community actually being able to control and to steward the land and have a say or control over what happens on the land. So the idea, we'll talk more about what that actually means, but just to say that's also what I see as a really big connection in all of our work. It's all in this neighborhood, and so it's all on the land, and we should have control over what's happening. Not me, because I live in Brooklyn, but you all. So just quickly, there's so many amazing groups doing really powerful campaigns in this neighborhood. If you all, as all of the amazing groups that you are, had control, we're just going to look at two different lots. If you had control over these lots, what might you want to put there? These are city-owned lots that are just, I'm just talking, now you can look at the picture. This is a city-owned building that is just vacant. It's just empty. And maybe you all have, raise your hand if you've seen this building before. 609 West 141st Street. I see some hands. So if you all, as the community, had control over this building, what would you do with it? You can just shout it out. Housing. Low income housing. Low income housing.
I would even say cooperatives.
Cooperatives?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A nursing home.
A nursing
And
home.
an affordable daycare on the first floor.
An affordable daycare on the first floor. Beautiful.
Jobs to build.
Jobs.
for the community.
Yeah, jobs for the community. Yeah.
Also including solar panel.
Yeah.
Solar.
So,
rooftop garden.
rooftop garden. Wow, we're just dreaming, and I love it. But what about these vacant lots, right? These are city-owned vacant lots that are, again, they've just been sitting there vacant. One's a parking lot. Is that really serving the greater community?
No.
So, Yeah. So again, like, shout out. If we, as the amazing organizations doing real meaningful work for the community, what if we could control these lots? What would we put there?
Or somehow they.
That's the big. What else might be put in these lots? Wait, hold on. Would you say? A farm. Yes.
Playground.
Playground. Has lots of place to play. Community owned business.
Mixed-use development.
Yeah, mixed-use development.
Great. I'm sure. Municipal grocery store. I love it. Yeah, maybe you grow the food and you sell it at your grocery store. I'm sure we could come up with a billion more ideas, but we need control, right? We need to actually be able to steward this land and decide what development looks like so that it actually serves the community. Oh, okay, maybe we don't need to go into it, but maybe just raise your hand again. Have you seen this lot at 136 West 137? Yeah. So again, another example. All of these vacant lots sitting there. What if we could own it? And with that, I'm going to pass it to Chris from the Northern Manhattan CLT to talk about a tool for community ownership.
Hi everybody. Can everybody hear me? Yes. Okay. My name is Chris. You can use they them pronouns with me or just call me Chris. Just a little bit about myself. I worked in state government for 3 years with Senator Robert Jackson. I'm now a land worker. I work at a farm up in Rockland County, and next year I'm starting a project with my spouse to grow organic vegetables for our community in Northern Manhattan and the Bronx. So I have a deep investment in thinking about land and our relationship to land, and I also happen to be on the board of the Northern Manhattan Community Land Trust. So who's heard of community land trusts? I feel like we have a pretty well-heeled audience. Okay, so I won't spend too much time here. So obviously land is a hot commodity, especially in New York City. It's becoming more exclusive and more expensive. I don't need to tell you all that. Community land trusts are an alternative. They're a way for us to take land out of that speculative market that just keeps going up and up and up. And make sure that we as a community can decide how it's going to be used. So a lot of us said low-income housing, obviously. I like to talk about community land trusts with a little bit of history. We've talked a little bit tonight already about how we're kind of locked into this idea of realtors, you were talking about the real estate board, the lobbyists. Private property is kind of ingrained in the way that our society functions right now. But it hasn't always been that way. There were a lot of different societies before our own, both on this land that was stolen from indigenous people, and in other places around the world. You had the Commons movement in England, for instance, where land was held in common among peasant families, and they shared the resources equitably. So there are other ideas about how land should be distributed and administered that come from a ton of different places and peoples and times that we could turn to. And the CLT movement grows out of all of those other ideas, all of those alternatives to private property. It works within the logic of private property that we're stuck with today. So it kind of uses the language of property that we have inherited, that we can't at this point do anything about, and it tries to put our community vision into that language. And if you go to the next slide, we'll see how that can be done. So, I think there we go. So, it's a non-profit organization that collectively owns and stewards the land for a community. So it's still an organization that owns the land. It's not the abstract community. There's an actual organization, and there are best practices for how people have decided that CLTs work best.
They have a board that consists of representatives from the buildings on the land that the CLT owns, from people in the wider community who are invested in the Community Land Trust, and from experts from a bunch of different fields who know how these things work from various perspectives outside of just that community. So we collectively own and steward the land, and the way that it works, just nuts and bolts, we won't get into all the specifics tonight, but for those of you who are less familiar, the CLT owns the land, the earth, the land underneath these buildings, and works to ensure that it's used in ways that benefit the community. The buildings on that land are owned and used by organizations, businesses, and individuals. So you might ask, well then how does the CLT make sure that it's actually benefiting the community, what those buildings are doing? And the key is right down here, the idea of a ground lease. So the buildings have to be on the land, and the land is owned by the CLT. That puts the CLT in a position to be able to put terms into a ground lease that say, for instance, the housing in the building that this is on top of this land, that housing has to be for people who make less than 50% of the area median income, or less than 30% of the area median income, or less than 20% of the area median income. Or that housing has to be for people who are unhoused. All of those are possibilities that you can write into the ground lease as a CLT to control what happens in those buildings and make sure it's in the interest of the community. So that's a really powerful tool. Again, working within the logic of property that we're kind of, the legal framework that we're all kind of stuck within right now. And trying to make the best out of it, trying to make it for us and by us, in that sense. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions? Yes?
How do we acquire the land?
How do we acquire the land? That's an excellent question that I don't think we have time for tonight, but I think Elisa's slides gave a really, acute snapshot into how we can do that. There are parcels of city-owned land all over northern Manhattan. The city already owns the land. They're not doing anything. We elect people to the city council, and we elect a mayor. They are supposed to be responsive to us. One of the demands we can make on them is to have them give those city properties over to your local community land trust for $1, for instance.
We're gonna hear, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
We're gonna hear from a few CLTs working in the neighborhood that you can join or support. And I'm gonna talk afterwards about some policies that we're working to pass that we hope will bring more land and housing into CLTs. So
Exactly.
that's what's
The land bank, yes. But it's an excellent question. Any other questions about this before we move on to talk about some of our local CLTs? Awesome, cool, thank you guys. Who's next? Is it me?
do you wanna just share about your work?
Yes. Okay, cool. So I am with, as I said earlier, the Northern Manhattan Community Land Trust. We're a proud member of NICELY. We were formed in 2017. Does anybody remember the Inwood rezoning? In 2018. That's sort of how the Community Land Trust got started. A bunch of us were organizing against this predatory rezoning. And we put forward an alternative for a just rezoning that would serve the needs of our community. And our council member ignored us. And so we began to form organizations that would challenge the status quo of that rezoning. One of them was Inwood Legal Action. We challenged that rezoning in court. We won at the first level, we lost at the second level. Another organization was the Northern Manhattan Community Land Trust. So we formed out of a grassroots effort, and we're currently a board of 5. We're having a membership drive. Let me see, I don't want to get ahead of myself. We're incorporated in 2021. We're about to get our 501c3 status, yada yada. Yes, we're laying the groundwork for a membership drive. We mostly serve the neighborhoods of like Washington Heights and Inwood. We kind of are active in buildings as far south as the 150s, like 155. So not like right here is kind of where our sort of catchment area transitions to the sort of central part of the catchment area. So from 155th up to, you know, the 217, 220s at the tip of Inwood, that's where we're active. And we're organizing in a bunch of different buildings with portfolios that have potential for community ownership. So we're active on 1 to 19 Seaman. We're working in the 160s. We're working also on some buildings along Post Avenue, 190th Street. So we're kind of, we have a bunch of different irons in the fire, and if you want to work with us, let us know. We'd love to help you build toward community ownership in your building. Awesome. Thank you guys.
This could be for both. I was on the Zoom the other day for the Community Land Trust, but is there any, are there any organizations out of the Central Hall, the little or of Northern Manhattan, are there any organizations?
Yeah, we're gonna hear from 2 more CLTs. One of them is the Central Harlem CLT.
Is Donna here?
Yes, I'm here.
Donna, yes, Donna's going to talk to us about the Central Harlem CLT. I was going to do this presentation with Donna's colleague Gregory, but Gregory's feeling under the weather, so I flew solo tonight. But yeah, we're really excited to hear about the Central Harlem CLT. Thank you all.
Great, so maybe. So for Central Harlem, let's hear from a CLT that currently has 4 buildings. So already has land and is actively stewarding that land. So I'll pass it to Deborah to share more.
How's everyone doing? Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's a pleasure to be here. I am so happy. I have one of my good buddies over there, it's Johnny Rivera, which is on the board of Kendall, which has been with me down through the years, also was a part of East Harlem. I call El Barrio. I love to say El Barrio. I'm from Brooklyn, but I'm always in Harlem, in El Barrio. So, we have 4 buildings, and as we speak now, 2 of the buildings, 2 of those buildings, we have tenants that have relocated temporarily. So I think that's really wonderful, because it's been a long time. We started out in 2014, 12 if I'm not mistaken. And we did this with also, you don't see a picture of the homeless, which I was a part of, and on the board. Kendall was instrumental in helping and doing the count that we did in all 5 boroughs. When I did the count, it was only in Manhattan with the borough president Springer, but she got the information and ran, so we were stuck. But we did what we had to do, and we found out that there were so many buildings, empty buildings and lots, just standing there doing nothing, getting garbage, making our community where we have to walk over with all these roads and other things. So now we have obtained these 4 buildings. And the beautiful thing about it is we had so many people. There's a lot of things like when the web is being webbed, you know, that spider is making that web with all these different things to connect. And I say that also with the tree. A tree has a branch, has roots, but then it has limbs, and that reaches out. So we had many partners and many people to work with us on this project. And I'm very happy and very grateful for Kendall with her work, doing what she did, counting the buildings and being persistent. One thing about doing community land trust, you must be consistent. You got to be up in their face. I make no quarrels about that. I was up in their face. I've been in this a long time, but this is my passion. So now we have these 4 buildings, and 2 of the buildings we have our people moving in. I think the end of the month will be the rest of them. They will be in there. So that is really beautiful. The other thing that I like is the fact that we're going to be having a ribbon ceremony. It is time to celebrate.
I came at different parts of this project. And being formerly homeless, it meant a lot to us. And it meant a lot to me. And my one thing was that I said, while I was in the shelter, I asked the shelter system to get me a place so I could take care of my mother and my father. That never happened. So I thought about doing all of this, looking at all these vacant buildings. Why not? Can't we take these buildings back and make something and build up our community and not be pushed out? One of the things that I like about our buildings is the fact that we have 3 commercial spots. The most beautiful thing about that is that when you have a commercial spot, you can rent it within the community. So that means that that money stays in the community. When you know when someone else is renting from you, if it was a landlord, they would give it to somebody else. We want to have our monies to ourselves so that we can do what we want to do. So we have lots of dreams, we have goals. We're transitioning, and I said the other day, we're having a baby. So you know, you got pains when you're having a baby, so you're going to go through something. So I'm very happy about this. I'm happy with Lise helping me, New Economy, Annie I know for a while ago. So I know a lot of people. So I come here because I believe in this. Keep fighting, keep doing it. And one day, you're going to be like us. We're going to have y'all have buildings too.
Kendall, go ahead.
All right, so I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. All right, so we keep talking about the county. There are 6 agencies in the city that keep a record of all the vacant buildings and properties, right? So you saw that little slip of a lot that Chris showed us between the 2 buildings. Well, that's one agency because it's shaped funny. But anyway, we foiled all 6 agencies back in 2011 and 2010, and they all use a different computer program. So you're same city agencies working together, but you all using different computer programs. We took, once Angela cleaned up all those 6 files, 6 records, and we have one list of everything that was vacant in the city. Tommy Gotti looked at the 51 community boards across the city. He picked 20 to make it a third of the city, so the city wouldn't say we didn't count enough of it. Bed-Stuy was the biggest of it all. The first Saturday, we had 8 hubs across. A hub was a place like this. You go get the map, your t-shirt, go to the bathroom, get a cup of coffee. We had 8 hubs that day. We had to go back a second Saturday to finish counting Bed-Stuy. And we never counted all of any of those community boards. So when I tell you we found 3,800 plus vacant buildings and nearly 400 vacant lots, we don't know how many more vacant lots and buildings were in those 20 community boards. So imagine the 51 around the city, what you see, what you don't see. How much of that is vacant and what can we do with it? So I just want to let you all know that we keep talking about it, but nothing was completely counted in this city.
So I'm going to pass it to Donna, and as she walks up here, I just want to kind of mention the way that one really cool element of a CLT is that it can be used for whatever the community decides. So these are rental properties. They're going to be permanently, deeply affordable rental properties. As Deborah said, there's commercial spaces. There's possibility for green spaces. There's possibility to, create that rooftop garden. So all of these different issues, we know that we're going to keep ourselves safe and healthy in our own buildings, and that CLTs are one of many different tools to bring all of that together. So I just wanted to add that. And yeah, okay, Donna.
gain membership and momentum. We have a coalition of community partners, and we're working with them. And basically, you know, the Mutual Housing Association is a limited equity corporation. And what we're trying to do, or what we are doing, because I don't like to say trying, what we are doing is organizing Central Harlem, which is from 110th to 155th, on the west side of Fifth Avenue to St. Nicholas, and that's basically Central Harlem's thing. So we're working with the community board, the James Mack Bond Center at City College, and 8 Philip Randall Square to make this organization work. And again, like everyone was saying, there's city properties, and we're trying to acquire those properties. And like Elise said, what we're thinking, what we're envisioning is to have affordable housing, but also have space, community spaces, medical associations, different things that's going to benefit the community and also keep the land in the hands of the corporation. So we're at the beginning stage of this whole thing. We're getting trained from Enterprise, and we're working with Elise and a number of other organizations. And we're actually looking for people that actually live in Central Harlem to be interested and come on board with us so that we can keep the land and the housing affordable and really help the community, because you know Central Harlem is just blowing up, and there's a lot of people that own buildings and they actually don't live in our community. And they're having rents based on the AMI, and the AMI does not consider the people that make $29,000, that are actually the people that live in the community. So that's what we're working on, and we're trying to get the city to give us some buildings, and we work to keep them and facilitate our community in affordable crossings. Do I have any questions? Yeah. How do you do? I'll give you my information. You have my information. You can call us, and we'll let you know. Right now we're doing a strategic committee to do strategy, and then we're going to do a board and all of the things that are necessary. But right now we're just trying to find community people that are interested in our vision. Okay?
Joining one of these CLTs, maybe write your contact info on a post-it and make sure you get it to the right person. And that could be one way to start connecting. So there was a question, right? How do we actually get land into community land trusts or community ownership? What are some ideas? How do we get land? Yeah.
Maybe this is right. Go through an auction, city auction.
City auction? That could. Yeah, like some buildings or like parcels of land that the city forecloses on, maybe they would put it up for auction. Any other ideas? Yeah.
One thing I forgot, I was trying to be time, but they also have what they call the TIL programs.
Yes.
So, two or three of the buildings are from the TIL building, which is from HPD. So that's another way, but you have to be very careful because you don't know what they're giving you. So, look at it and make sure that you can be able, the people who work with you, and you can go in and that you can get it from HPD.
And that was one question, thank you for bringing that up, that I had, because I was telling someone the other day that a lot of the programs from the past, which was like TIL or 7A, some buildings are still around if, you know, they didn't get gobbled up from private landowner, like my building back in the early 90s. We were part of 7A and it got snatched. But there are some left. Are those properties or are those buildings, are some of the community land trust organizations, are they looking at kind of bringing them in? Because I think the more you have, the stronger you are.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's definitely some CLTs are looking at that, yeah. Okay, real quick, and then I want to make sure, we haven't heard from you, so yeah.
Can we buy land from the city?
You can buy land from, well, you can buy land from private landlord.
You showed us some, city-owned land. What has that to do with this?
Yeah. Okay, let's move in, unless there's like a burning thought,
All I was gonna say is that, yeah, you can buy from, like, the Harlem CLT. Then they got the buildings for $1. HPD sold the buildings for $1, which was nice. Until you went inside and saw how much it was gonna cost you to renovate them, because they've been sitting for 30, 40, 50 years. So you may want to buy from the city, but make sure you have money to rebuild what you're buying.
Yeah, true. So the short answer that we all know is it's really hard to get land and housing, right? We have over 20 community land trusts organizing across the city because of the displacement, gentrification, all of these issues that have been, wreaking havoc in our neighborhoods. Communities just like yours have been organizing and forming community land trusts. Only 3-ish of the CLTs at this moment, though that's about to increase really soon, actually have land. So most groups are in the organizing process and have active campaigns to try to get land and keep it for the community. We nicely and a larger coalition of, I think we have over 120 organizations that are all supporting this. We created this policy platform, bills that we want to pass in the city that we hope will help facilitate more land and housing going into community ownership, like community land trusts. So I'm going to talk about these bills real quick. I'll answer some questions if it's too fast. And there should be like a handout. Do people get a handout about the Community Land Act? Yeah, so I think there might be some more people that have it. So there are 4 bills. The first bill is called COPA, the Community Opportunity to Purchase Act. This says that when a residential building goes up for sale, like the building where I live in, instead of the landlord just being able to sell it to whoever they want, they have to first pause and offer it to a community land trust or a nonprofit and see if they want to buy the building. If they don't, then it goes to the open market, but it's this pause to ideally give nonprofits and community land trusts that opportunity to first buy the building. So that's COPA. We are 2 council members away from a supermajority in city council for passing COPA. We have the Public Land for Public Good bill. We know that so much public land in our city has just been given away to for-profit developers to build all types of housing and amenities that are not for people who actually live in those neighborhoods. So we're saying that when the city is getting rid of public land, if we could pressure the city to get rid of one of those lots or some of those buildings that we just saw, that they should be prioritizing community land trusts and nonprofits that are actually working for the community in acquiring those properties. So if a for-profit developer and a CLT are, head-to-head trying to get a vacant lot that the city needs to be giving it to the CLT. That's what this bill says. We are one council member away from a supermajority on this bill. That's all I have. Okay. I'll also just say, we're trying to pass a state bill, so there's a resolution to support it. Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act. That, in my opinion, is the best, right? It says that when a landlord is selling the buildings, who should have the opportunity to organize and decide what happens to their building? The tenants, right? So this gives tenants that opportunity to either buy their building or work with a community land trust or nonprofit to buy their building before the landlord can just sell it to whoever that we know is just in it to make money, right? Finally, we don't need to get into all this, but there's a tax lien sale. Who's heard of the New York City tax lien sale? Yeah, so this is when property owners are behind on their taxes, they're creating liens, and those liens are sold to predatory companies who then put a ton of fees on those homes. We know that it's been used to basically take homes away from Black and brown communities, take equity out of those communities, and also benefit like slumlords. So we're trying to end the lien sale and create a new system that keeps people in their homes and keeps equity in neighborhoods and actually supports tenants living in good housing. It sounds nice. We'll see where we get. So all of these together are called the Community Land Act. Again, we're really close to actually passing these bills, but we're not there yet, and the year is almost up, and we need to actually push to make it go over the finish line. So we're having a rally, and we would love for all of you to attend. It's going to be on Thursday, November 2nd at City Hall at noon, and we're going to be, really trying to get the message out there that Speaker Adams and the City Council needs to pass these bills this year. Like, there's a major housing crisis, land speculation is just out of control, and they need to actually take this seriously and create transformative change. Who thinks that they can join us at this rally? We have flyers in the back. If you can join, great. If you can't, pass it to a friend, put it up in your building. Email your council member. Let your council member know these are bills that not only do they need to sign on to, but they need to fight and make sure that they pass. So there's this little, right here, tiny.cc/ActCLT, and there's a QR code. If you go to that, you can just put in your info and it sends an email to your council member and the speaker, and they will know that their constituents care about these bills. And I heard there's so many organizations in the room. If you're an organization that wants to sign on and support these bills and be a part of the organizing push and strategy meetings, please endorse the campaign, and you can do that on our website. So, yeah. Does anyone have any quick questions before we move on? Yeah.
Offhand, are you aware of the primary sponsors of each of these bills?
Yeah, so Lincoln Ressler is the sponsor of the Public Land for Public Good. Carlina Rivera is sponsor of COPA. The public advocate, Jimani Williams, is sponsor for the resolution to support TOPA at the state. And Sandy Nurse has been really leading the charge on abolishing the tax lien sale. Yeah.
How did you find out those buildings and lots were not being vacant?
That's a great question. We walked by them and took pictures.
Pardon me?
We walked by them and took pictures. So,
Is the New York City Finance Tax and Lot Maps go available?
yes. Yeah, it's called ACRIS. Or, yeah, that's the map. I want to,
Is there a centralized registry of plots of land, a database of some sort?
Yeah, you know, there are different maps out there. I don't know offhand.
It's like I said a little while ago, when we did the count in 2011. But there are 6 agencies whose responsibility is to keep tabs on all the vacant buildings and vacant lots in the city. One is because it's odd-shaped. You know, another one is vacant buildings for whatever reason, whether it's a slum or whatever. I don't understand why there's 6 of them, but there's 6 of them that have that responsibility. And as I said, when we did the FOILs in 2010, they set back the information in a timely fashion, which was nice, but they use different computer programs. So you have 6 agencies who have the same data, they should be working together with 6 different programs. So I know one is Department of something crazy. There's one, I can't remember the one for the crazy shaped buildings, but you should be able to go down the list of the departments the city has and be able to pick out those 6 agencies. And like you said, the finance should also have a list of it too.
Yeah, we've also, we'll send out some resources to those who registered and who signed in, and we can try to send some maps and some information about how to find public land and vacant land. Yeah, I wanna close this out. So thinking about all of the issues, right, that we identified today, right? The need for clean air, the need for safer streets, the need for urban farms, for better food access, for better grocery stores, the need to get rid of negligent landlords, slumlords, the need for local businesses to have rents that they can afford. Imagine if we have passed public land for public good and the community opportunity to purchase, and at the state we passed TOPA, right? Imagine if the Central Harlem CLT was able to take over this land and turn it into a mini forest, or an urban farm, or a garden. Imagine if the East Harlem El Barrio CLT was able to take over this city land, right? Imagine all the things that we just talked about we wanted to see here. These could become realities, right? And Elise mentioned, right, the year is coming to an end. We have a lot of support on these bills, but we have not gotten them over the finish line. And so that's why November 2nd is really important. And that's why these tools are really important for us to let our electeds know that this is a priority. So I want to, yes.
Have they been heard yet?